Hello everyone. This is Namranan, and we are doing another MPL manager interview. This time with the hold on, I'm trying not to mess it up. Darkrais manager KevinELF. So say hello, Kev.
Hey everyone.
All right. So KevinELF, I know you're doing pretty decently, I believe, in this MPL. I think you're in fourth or third place right now, right?
Actually, we're in eighth right now.
Oh, I must have been thinking of the wrong team. All right.
It's alright. We all have the same amount of points from I think fifth to eighth, so it's not really that big of a difference.
All right, but yeah. Without further ado, I guess we should just you're also like a monotype room owner actually.
Yep.
And you're pretty well known for that, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, without further ado, unfortunately we weren't able to get Isaiah, which is sad, but it is still we can still get pretty good answers out of you because you did do really well. Like I was told many times in the last interview we did that it was one of the best interviews I had done, and you provided really good answers. So hopefully we get a similar result this time.
Yeah, I have a bit of a habit of overwriting a bit, so
Yeah, not writing.
Hopefully not over talking.
Yeah, but start with the first question. How do you feel about your progress in this tournament so far? I mean, yeah. Anything good? Anything bad?
Well, obviously, it's not exactly what we expected, so a bit disappointed about that, being at 8 right now. But I don't think it's anything that bad, since it's not that we've played bad per se. It's more that we've just been getting unlucky a bit with matchups or just hacks and stuff like that. So it's not ideal, but I'm not disappointed that much. So we'll be able to bounce back from the situation right now.
All right, that's good to hear.
All
right. Next up we have, how has your team chat been? Without leaking anything, would you say that your environment is healthy?
Yeah, our team chat's been it's been alright. It's not the most active since most of our players, as you know, are not from Monotype, and so a lot of them are also busy with other tournaments. They're mostly RU players, and they have a team tournament going on right now. A bunch of them are also involved in PU, which has their own PL. A bunch of us are also in World Cup, so we're all pretty busy so far. And then there's also just real life stuff like classes or work and stuff like that. So it's not the most active, but it is really a friendly environment. Everybody supports each other, even though we're not doing the best. Everybody's been cheering each other up and working hard still to prep every week. So it's been fun. Not the most active, but a really good environment, even though Salbap's a bit of a clown sometimes.
Yeah, that is true. That's pretty good to hear, though. I think I've been hearing a lot of good team chat environments for a lot of the teams, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. I watched a few of your interviews, and it sounded like the Chicos are having a lot of fun. So happy for them.
Yeah. All right. Which player has surprised you the most in this MPL? That's not yours, that is, or it can be yours, but it can be just general. And which player in general has disappointed you the most this MPL?
Well, I guess for surprise, honestly, I'm not that surprised by anyone. I feel most of the people that are doing good are expected to. There's a few surprises, but I don't think their games are that exceptional either. Gorix is doing pretty well. I heard a few people mention them as a surprise. But I think their games were good, but they weren't the first two were almost unlosable matchups, or completely unlosable matchups. So it's kind of hard to base it off a record. I guess if I had to name someone, I would say Gondra. But it's not really a surprise since I did expect them to do well. But I guess just how well they're doing and really seeing how they're adapting to the SM meta game has been really interesting. In terms of disappointment, again, there's not. I think most people are doing it as expected. Maybe Star being 1-3 is pretty surprising. I don't remember his games really, but so I'm not sure he could have been screwed up by matchup, but still pretty surprising to see him there. And also, like Sir Skit's first game, he didn't do even a percent of damage, so that was really disappointing because I was expecting, like I was looking forward to seeing him do well outside of Mono Threat in a tournament, and so then his first game going like that was pretty sad. Hopefully he gets more playtime and bounces back, but yeah, that was really sad to see. And I guess a few more, like Mateus had two pretty rough first games. I know it's his first tournament, so he's probably pretty pressured by that. So I'm hoping he bounces back as well. He's definitely competent. Yeah, other than that, like that who have bad records, but I don't think they played bad per se. Just they had just been getting hit by matchup every week, and I mean it's monotype. What can you do?
That is true.
Yeah. Another one, I guess, like since I had mentioned him as players to look forward to, Keither, or I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, like Kaiser with a list, basically. His is like he's 2-1 right now, but his one game where he lost kind of like, I don't know, killed the hype, since that's probably the biggest choke of the tournament so far. I don't know if you remember the game.
Yeah, I remember the game. This is the electric versus water game where he didn't click.
Yeah.
I forget which move he didn't click, but he just made a really bad, obvious play.
Yeah. Like, he close combated when he could have just switched and won with surging strikes after.
Yeah.
So it was really since I had just mentioned him as like players that I was looking forward to seeing the same week, and then I saw that, and it was pretty disappointing. I mean, I was happy because it was in the favor of my team, but I guess that was pretty disappointing. But I mean, everybody has their those moments. Like I've had my games where people would think, "What the hell happened there?" So I mean, I'm sure he'll be able to come back from that. But yeah, that was pretty disappointing to see.
All right. Let's see. Next question I have for you. All right. Do you think you can make the playoffs, and why?
Definitely. I mean, any team right now, at the position we are in the tournament right now, any team is going to be saying that. And I mean, we're all pretty close. Like, yes, my team is 8th, and we have 3 points, and we're the only ones to not win a week. We tied 3, but I mean, we could win this week, and we could be in the top 4. We could be. I'm not sure about the matchup, so like maybe getting first is not possible, but we can jump up at any time, really, at this point. And I mean, we have a competent team. I know we've been performing well for the most part. We've just been a bit unlucky, so I definitely think we can make it. I'm happy with my team, and I know we can do it.
All right, that's good. All right, let's talk about your team record. How do you feel about that so far? I think you touched on it a little bit, but just want to elaborate on that point a little bit more.
Yeah, I guess we've been over this a bit, but yeah. So we're at 0-1-3 right now. So we haven't managed to win a week yet. We've tied 3 and we lost 1 pretty big. But again, like I said before, I don't think our losses were nor our loss or our ties weren't about like a gap in skill, but more so just we've not been getting good matchups and stuff like that. I know some people say getting good matchup is a skill, but that's, I think, just one of the dumbest things I've heard, because like yes, there's like a modicum of skill required to getting the right type, but it's like the same thing as getting a 50-50 in a match, because there's too many factors for it to like really be considered a skill. I guess to give an example, like week 2, I brought Rain versus Heavens, and he brought Fire, and like people could take it as, oh, I out prepped him since I knew he would think that I would think that me bringing Rain would be too obvious on the first week that Shifu's allowed and Kingdra's back. so he would not think about bringing anti-rain because it'd be too obvious for me. So you could think that I out-prepped him, but really the day before I would almost change to steel, and even the morning of the game I was considering ice. So had I gone the other way, people would have said he out-prepped me. But like, so really it's kind of dumb to say getting good matchup is a skill. It's just luck, and we haven't been getting good luck so far. But we've been playing well, even despite our matchups. We've been managing to win them or getting close to winning them, but hacks happen. So yeah, unfortunate record right now, but definitely something that can be easily turned around if things start going our way.
All right. Oh boy, keep losing them.
Yes. I'll say one more thing about that is just like for an example to just show that like our record doesn't really mean anything. Like I managed Team Canada in Monotype World Cup as well, and we lost 1-7 week 2 in that. And the team that beat us there didn't make playoffs, and we finished second overall, even though we lost 1-7 one week. And our record was also 3-1-3 there, so we're at 0-1-3 right now. So I'm not losing any hope right now. There's plenty of chances. There's still 3 weeks. We can definitely make it.
All right, that's good optimism to have. Next question we have for you is, which team do you think might be seeing you in the finals if you do make it?
Okay, that's a pretty hard question. Originally, I would have said Meteors, I think, but because right now, looking at the standings, it's looking like our Week 7 match is going to be the two of us fighting for the final for a playoff spot. So it's looking like one of us won't be making it. So I guess not them. I'd also maybe think Gengars, but I've been looking like their lineup like this week is really confusing me. I think they're doing a lot of weird things after losing Phaeton. So I don't know if they're going to be able to go that far unless what they're doing is working out. Like I feel like they're wasting Peachy by putting him in SS instead of SM. But see if things work out for them. But I guess if I had to name another team, maybe I think most likely besides those two that I mentioned are the Houndoons or the Bucks. I think they have pretty solid lineups that have been performing well overall, so I think they have a good chance of meeting us there.
All right. Next question. What are your thoughts about how this MPL has been so far? Have the game been great or bad?
I guess like I would say it's, to be honest, not that like memorable. Like, it's been fun still. There's definitely been some like good moments. There's been some really interesting games. There's also been some like kind of like terrible or just like forgettable matches. So it's been all right. It's definitely not the most hype MPL has been in, I think, but definitely a good one still. There's been some good games.
All right, if you had to name like a few games that you would recommend or not recommend, which ones would they be?
Okay. Well, definitely. I think the Gondra's games have been pretty interesting so far. Just seeing how he's playing out the SM games has been pretty good. Zuku's games, from my team, just like I watched your interview with, I think Zareth said it. I could be wrong, and it could be Crashy from the other interview. I'm pretty sure it was Zareth that said it. Was that like you can watch a Zukushiku game and he could be losing, and you look away, and then you come back and he's won. So yeah, I think his games are always like interesting. Just seeing how he always manages to come back, and no matter like the situation, he usually finds a way out. So I think his games have been interesting. Definitely they should check out when he plays. But yeah, and just in general, like top players, their games have been pretty good. Like Fiend versus Wenka's best of 3 was also solid. Yeah, just those kind of games are good. For the bad ones, I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but definitely December versus Trichotomy, that game in Aura, that game I would recommend not clicking on it.
All right. Next question. What would you say has been your favorite moment of this MPL so far?
I guess if I had to pick one moment, then it would be in week 1 when my team was 0-4, and then we came back to a 4-4. So that day was like a complete like emotional roller coaster, because it was all like a bunch of games on Sunday, and we came into that Sunday 0-2, and then we got 2 more bad matchups, and we were 0-4, and I was like kind of losing hope. And then our 5th game starts, and we see Evie brought Fairy, and then we see our opponents have Mega Steelix Ground, and then I was kind of like, I had kind of given up. I was like, oh, well, next week then I guess there's no way we can win this matchup. And then, just watching the game, and then out of nowhere she just like played it really well and managed to win the game. So like then we started getting a bit of hype, and we're like, okay, we won a game, and then everyone just kept winning after that. So it was a really exciting and way to end the first week.
Does sound like a pretty good moment for that team. All right. Which metagame has been the most fun for you to build, and which one has been the most fun for you to watch?
I guess like in terms of building, I'm mostly just focused on SS. I do help in SM, but like it's mostly Doug's who's putting the teams together, and I'm just giving comments or like helping pick them. So I'm not really like in the builder too much with that. So I guess SS would be the most fun to build, but I do have to say, like, it's fun, but it's also, I think, really annoying to build because of how matchup focused it is, and just like the kind of person I am, I get really bothered by the whole matchup thing. Like, obviously, you probably noticed that since I kept mentioning it in several questions, but yeah. So it gets pretty annoying, and I kind of like get frustrated with it a lot, but it's been fun too, just trying out stuff and testing. In terms of watching, I think SM has been pretty interesting for the most part. Yeah, I guess I'd say probably SM, or just like whenever good players match up in like best of 3 or something. Those are always interesting, no matter the gen.
All right. As a manager, how do you feel you've done so far? Anything you feel like you could improve on?
I think I've done pretty well for the most part. Like, definitely I've been trying to get more involved since in the past when I managed, Monothreat was in the tour, and I have to admit I've been a bit like lackluster as a manager. I'd kind of focus more on my own slot and let my co-manager or like other people on the team focus on like the SM or AS and stuff like that, since I didn't feel as up to working on those since I've kind of been started getting associated to Monothreat, so I didn't feel as confident in those. So now I've been trying to like push myself more to get involved in every slot and work on that. I can definitely do a lot more though, since like I said before, when like building teams I get like kind of frustrated, so sometimes I don't feel like working on anything, and I've also just been busy with other stuff, so I definitely could work on looking through stuff more. Since last week, I don't know if you watched Fiend versus Chide in best of 3, but like the OS game, our Swampert had the wrong ability and the wrong nature, and so Fiend should have given Chide his first loss of the tournament, but because we messed that up, it didn't happen, or else he would have definitely won that game. And I say he would have won the series, but yeah. So if I had been more involved, then maybe that wouldn't have happened. So I guess I need to work more on getting more involved in all the slots and trying a bit harder in that sense.
All right, that's pretty good points to have. And yeah, I did see that game. It was like damp Swampert instead of like Torrent, right?
Yeah, it was damp, and I think the nature was minus special attack as well.
Yikes! Yeah, that'll.
So yeah. So yeah, that was unfortunate, but it's okay. We learned from that, so it's fine. Yeah.
Let's see. Alright, so this is a more off-the-cuff question that I didn't include before, but you mentioned last time in our first interview that you thought that everyone had a pretty good shot at making the playoffs besides the Milotics. And as you can see now, they're in first place, or in contention for first place. So what is your reaction to that?
I mean, it's definitely a surprise. I mean, it's monotype. I mean, anything can really happen. And I definitely, like, I'll give props to the Sem. He really has been killing in terms of prep. He really gets his team, like, make sure his team gets good, solid SS teams, and he's been really good with getting matchups. Like I said before, it is also luck, but definitely he's been working. You can see he's been working hard on it. Like in his first 2 weeks, I think in the week two of his players 6-0'd. So like he's been good with fishing like that. So I'll give props on that. And they definitely they do have like good players too on their team. So I'm not it's not like I thought they were completely garbage and had no chance whatsoever. I just didn't think it was likely. So it's surprising, but it's not like revolution or anything. I think they're definitely better probably than last year's first skits were. Oh, the Bucks took over the first skits, never mind. But yeah, it's surprising, but not too much, I'd say.
All right. Let's see. Next up we have, is managing hard? Do you sometimes find yourself struggling to help your team?
Well, yeah, I think it also depends on what kind of manager you are. Like, there's definitely some managers in this tournament that are more of a, support role. They're more like cheerleaders than anything. Not to throw shade at anyone. But, yeah, so I guess in that sense, it might not be as hard since you're just having a good time with the tournament. But, like, just for the kind of person I am, and also, like, someone who gets involved in stuff, I definitely, like, put the burden of, like, if the team's doing well or not on myself a lot. So I definitely get very stressed about that stuff and, like, worried that, if we lose this match, it's my fault I didn't choose the right team or something. So I guess it's hard in that sense, that it's pretty stressful. It's actually kind of the reason I didn't participate last MPL, because I had just managed 2 tours back-to-back before that, and I was getting kind of, like, exhausted and didn't feel like participating in team tournaments, because I thought it'd be too much, like, effort for, like, how busy I was with other stuff and just how I was feeling. So it can be hard, but it's not like horrible. I enjoy managing. Like, I chose to do it. So it's something I find still enjoyable. It's fun to be able to, like, have control a bit of who is on your team and be able to, like, lead what people are doing. So it's something that is enjoyable, but it's definitely hard if you want to, like, win and you're trying to take responsibility for a lot of things.
All right. That's pretty responsible and a pretty intelligent answer, actually. Nice. Let's see. Who's been your favorite player to watch that isn't on your team right now?
Well, I've mentioned a few times already, but Gondra has probably been my favorite player to watch so far in the tournament. I've always, like, been a fan of him in general, like, outside of Monotype. So I definitely was looking forward to it when I saw he signed up. I teamed before with him in an NU tournament, so I got to see a bit, like, how he prepped, and I was like, it was really, like, kind of like, almost fascinating to say, just to see how he would adapt to a new metagame. He really, like, worked hard, so I was interested to see how he would do here, and I think he's been delivering. He's had interesting games so far, so probably my favorite outside of my own team to watch. But there's been plenty of, like, interesting games to watch as well. So there's still a lot of good players to watch in this tournament.
Yeah. All right. Actually, what have your thoughts been on like some of the other managers saying like Ridley and Zukushiku? Do you also agree with those players being pretty hyped to watch as well?
Alright, well, yeah, I didn't mention Zuku since he's on my team, but definitely like a must-watch. I think, and for like, unless he gets a bad matchup, but even then, he knows how to play really well, and he always like just like for example his best of 3 versus Say, like I think like both games he was behind in at one point, and it was like okay, we'll win the next one, but no, he didn't let his himself like get overwhelmed by the pressure that was on him at that moment, and he'd always turn the game around. So like that was really hype, and like I think in his like just his games in general, he's always interesting. He always pulls something to surprise people. Ridley too. To be honest, I haven't I can't really remember his games that much. I know in general he's like a good player to watch, but like yeah. So I in general I find SF games aren't like that interesting to watch. They can be interesting, but sometimes it's just like oh well. There's games you can't do much about, or they're pretty straightforward, so then it's not as exciting. So he's in SS now, I think, so that puts a bit of a damper on it, but he's pretty interesting to watch. So yeah, I would agree with that.
All right. Let's move on to the next question, which would be, do you see any potential MVPs in this tournament right now?
Well, I'm a bit biased, but like, well, first I think like I watched your other interviews, and I think other teams might have like not like answered it like fully because they kind of based it purely on record, in my opinion. But I think like for MVP is really like, you're not just you're performing well, but you're really how you've been a driving force for your team to perform well in the tournament. So I'm a bit biased, but I'd say Dugza is an MVP candidate. Just for like how much work he's been putting in for my team. Just like he's been working hard in every slot. He's prepping, building teams, testing, doing whatever he can to like help. So I definitely think he should be a candidate for MVP at the end of the tournament because he's really been putting in work. But if I had to choose from other teams, like I know, like I mentioned before, Desem's been putting in a lot of work for his team. His record, unfortunately, isn't showing it because he put himself in a pretty hard slot at the beginning. So maybe that would like kind of ruin being MVP. But he, like I heard, he has like millions of lines in his Discord, so he definitely has been putting in a lot of work. So yeah, then there's obviously the obvious like players like Chait. Obviously, I'm sure he's doing a lot of work for his team. So and he has a good record. So. Obviously, always a potential MVP.
All right. Let's see. Next question we have is, do you have any regrets about your draft specifically right now?
Well, I don't think, like, honestly, I don't think any manager would say they do at this point, except Zap, since, I mean, he's the only person toxic enough to say that at this point. But, speaking honestly, I don't have any regrets. Like, I am really happy with my team, even though we've had our rough spots. Like, I know they're all good players and they've been doing well, regardless of our record. If I had to change anything, I guess, like Lycan, I think, said in his interview, is maybe have less people. Since I like having lots of people, I think it makes it more fun, but it's also, it gets hard since you want to get everyone to play and just building lineups like where do I fit this person, like this person should play, they could be here, but I have too many people for this slot or whatever, stuff like that. Like SM, like it's kind of hard to put someone else there when I have Dugza and Evie already, so it gets a bit hard with that. So like less people, maybe go harder on someone else and get less people. But I'm really happy with the team I have now. And another thing that I guess I could change is have more monotype mains to kind of remove the work of prepping and testing and everything. So have more people grinding on that. But yeah, that's about it.
All right. We're at the last few questions now. So, how did Urshifu Rapid Strike affect your SS prep? Because you did mention that you were doing a lot of SS prep. And what was the most annoying thing that it forced you to consider?
Well, yeah. So I knew it was going to be kind of like an annoying Pokemon. The only two council members that had voted to ban it the first week was Chase and me. So yeah, so I knew it was going to be annoying. But what it really did was like it put us in the situation of like, and for every slot you're kind of forced to think, are they going to bring water or are they going to try to beat water? So then you were kind of forced to think, oh, should I bring water here or should I bring something that's good against it so I don't get smashed by Urshifu? And so yeah, that's like a really annoying situation. And I know a lot of people think that, oh, it wasn't that bad, but just like, well, like a stat that I noticed, like the first week it was allowed, water was used 7 times in 6 different matches. One match was rain versus rain, and Urshifu did win every single one except 2. One of them was the P2 timeout. To be fair, I don't remember if he had Urshifu, so that game might not count. But yeah, he lost to timeout, and I don't really remember the game, so he might have been in a losing position, but I don't think he was, from my memory at least. And the other game was the huge choke game, so it would have won that game too. And that was versus Rotom Mo Electric. Like you can't get more water seeking that unless you bring grass.
Yeah, I talked about that in my video covering why Urshifu was banned. That replay was like damning evidence, in my opinion.
Exactly. So it was just like it got kind of annoying where I was like, and then it was like kind of like there's not much of a reason not to use it, but then you're like they could be doing like a wild C team to do it, so we should be bringing something that's good against a C team, and it put us in a lot of like situations trying to think, do we try to beat it? Do we bring it? It gets a bit annoying.
All right, but that will be the final question on this for this interview. So, any closing remarks before we wrap it up?
I guess so. It's been a fun tournament, and oh yeah, I did want to comment about one thing, like the Dugza floss thing that people were complaining about. I think you know what I'm talking about, right?
I barely know what you're talking about.
The where like the screenshot and Dugza is telling him meet me in SS slot 1 or whatever, and then he wasn't in SS or whatever.
Oh, so
you know what I'm saying?
You like snaked someone?
No, well, like that's what they're saying, but like I wanted to, I guess, I feel like people are a bit exaggerating about like the whole thing. Because like, well, first of all, like I didn't know.
Say that again. I missed that.
Oh, yeah. So I think people are exaggerating a bit about like that he snaked him or whatever, because like realistically, Floss was gonna be in SS anyways, whether it be SS 1, 2, or 3. So like, I don't think it was much of an issue, and like so yeah, it's not like we use the information of like, oh, Floss is in SS1 to put someone against him, because our lineup was already made and Dugza did that by himself. So yeah, I find like people are a bit just whining to whine about like he snaked him, and it's also just they should have been smarter about it. Like for example, coincidentally, Dugza himself was almost snaked the week before. Like Kata told him to meet him in SM1, and I kind of, I outsmarted it by I told the host when I submitted my lineup that they agreed to play, and I had proof that okay, they agreed to play, so let me know if I put Dugza in the wrong slot. And I figured out the Bucks had changed. The Kata was in SM2, not SM1, like he had said he would be. So then we just switched Dugza to SM2 so that we wouldn't be snaked. So, I mean, the manager should have just thought smarter, I guess. I don't know what to say, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess like paying attention more would probably help like avoid situations like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, paying attention. I guess you don't expect someone to like snake you either. But like, yeah, like I said, it's not really snaking because Floss was going to be in SS anyways. He was going to play one of our SS slots regardless of what happened. So like, I think people are exaggerating a bit about it, but whatever. It's all in good fun. And yeah, and another thing I guess just say like for like one issue I usually have with MPL is there's like a lot of teams lack sportsmanship. Like people are always just being kind of annoying. Like banter's fun. Like there's nothing wrong with good banter. Like joking around, like oh we're gonna destroy you and stuff like that, blah blah blah. But like I really like gets on my nerves like when teams hacks another one or something, or they like they get something in their favor and then they just like hype it up and jerk it off or whatever, and it's just like oh my god, just have some like class of it,
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, it gets a bit annoying and it kind of like ruins the environment of the tournament in my opinion. I mean, some people might think I'm just like complaining, but that's like that's just personally for me. Like I find it really annoying and it makes the tournament unfun. Like in MWP2, like just the first week, the other team was just being so annoying, and it kind of just ruined the tournament at the start. Like I didn't feel like as motivated for it because I was just like, oh my god, these teams are so annoying. I don't want to be involved anymore. But then like later in the tournament, it wasn't really interacting with them anymore, and it was more enjoyable. But yeah, so I guess just closing remarks: have some more sportsmanship. Let's have a fun rest of season. Go Darkrais. Hopefully we make playoffs and win. But yeah.
Alright, that's pretty good to hear. Thank you, Kev, once again for doing this interview with me. And
thank you for having me.
No problem. And that will be it for today's interview. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe for more. Like the video to get it out to more people. And with that being said, this has been Nambernan, and I am now signing off.